This is News 3 at 6.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We are learning more about the man who began shooting his co-workers at a Middleton software company.
That man has been identified as 43-year-old Anthony Tong. 4 people were hurt during the shooting. It happened at WTS Paradigm, the company located near the Greenway Station Shopping Center in Middleton. Today, the police chief in Middleton praised the employees of WTS Paradigm for acting so quickly. He also applauded the 4 officers who shot Tong, eventually ending the threat 8 minutes after the first 911 call. The chief says the investigation is still very active.
We thought we were going to get those buildings perhaps released tomorrow, but the investigators want to keep control of those buildings until every last piece of evidence is collected.
2 Middleton police officers and 2 Dane County Sheriff's deputies fired shots at Tong yesterday. They are being questioned by the Department of Criminal Investigation. That is standard protocol for any officers who are involved in a shooting. We have live team coverage of the investigation into the shooting at WTS Paradigm. We
start with Keely Arthur, one of the first reporters on the scene, with what police are saying about the shooter. Keely?
That's right. Everyone really wanted to know 2 things, who and why. Well, we now know who. Anthony Tong. We're here at his home on the west side, and you can see where police broke in using explosives, trying to figure out why. Why would he do something like this? Now, Tong had worked at WTS Paradigm for more than a year prior to the shooting. Police say he began working at the tech company in April of 2017. Yesterday, he shot 4 of his co-workers before police shot and killed him. Today, we spoke with 2 of his neighbors living just a few doors down.
We never saw the guy. We never met the guy. He has a fenced-in yard. We never saw any animals or pets or kids or anything.
So pretty private?
Yeah.
Police executed a search warrant at Tong's home yesterday. They did not say what they found, only that this area is now safe. Neighbors who were evacuated yesterday are now back in their homes, and Tong, 43, did not have a license to carry a gun, although authorities say they found an arsenal of weapons on his person. They also said, though, that he has no criminal record, at least in the state of Wisconsin.
Keely Arthur reporting from Madison's far west side tonight. Keely, thank you.
And we check in now with Rose Schmidt, who was there as evacuated employees got their belongings returned to them. She joins us now in studio. Rose.
That's right. Those employees left everything behind as they ran out the door and tried to get to a safe place. Their building remains closed while law enforcement officers collect evidence and investigate exactly what happened. But they were able to get personal items throughout the day, a step in moving forward.
When you came back to work, yes, it was a lot quieter today.
Quieter for people like Joy, who works in the Department of Veterans Affairs, just a few hundred feet from WTS Paradigm.
It was frightening that, other people couldn't be back at work in this situation.
But a bit less calm for the employees who are still trying to get things back to normal. Dozens gathered at the Residence Inn this afternoon as law enforcement officers were able to retrieve some of the items they left in their buildings.
There's a lot of people walking in and out. Out of nowhere, just cops started showing up too, so I thought there was something else going on.
It's no wonder Cesar would think that. He was working to replace the floors at a restaurant hit by flooding on Deming Way when the shooting happened.
And then one of the employees ran in the building, and he was like, "Can you guys close the door, please close the door. There's a shooter.
A moment he will never forget.
That hit home, and I have kids myself, and I got home and I hugged them. I was anxious to get done. I was just rushing to get the job done, because I wanted to get home and hug my babies.
Cesar saw a lot of that around him. People from WTS Paradigm banding together while their coworkers are still in the hospital. They were able to get keys, wallets, and cell phones back and were escorted to get their cars.
It wasn't something pretty to see, the reaction, the way they were feeling. It wasn't pretty at all.
It isn't pretty, but it is necessary to try and find that quiet again, searching for a bit of perspective.
It could have been my siblings. It could have been me.
Employees at WTS Paradigm have been instructed to not talk to the members of the media. We did reach out to the company to request an interview, but have not heard back.
Rose Schmidt joining us tonight. Rose, thank you.
One of the companies that remains closed today is Esker, a company that helps businesses deliver their paper documents electronically. The COO of Esker says he is thinking about all those affected by yesterday's shooting. Police also shared that there are trauma specialists available to talk to victims, witnesses, and anyone impacted by yesterday's shooting. Just call one of these numbers that you see here on your screen if you were in need of talking with one of those specialists. These numbers are also on our website, channel3000.com.
U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin reacting to yesterday's shooting in Middleton. She says it shows the need for gun control measures, quote, consistent with the Second Amendment. She says she supports universal background checks and banning rapid-fire bump stocks. The spokesperson for Republican State Senator Leah Vukmir, who's running against Senator Baldwin in November, says, quote, Senator Baldwin wants to increase the number of gun laws, then hypocritically supports the appointing of dangerous liberal judges who don't actually hold individuals accountable for breaking those laws, end quote. Students and community members are hosting a die-in. It'll be Sunday inside the state capitol to protest gun violence. The protest is in response to the shooting in Middleton. The rally will start at 3, the die-in 30 minutes later. Organizations like Save Our Students Madison and March for Our Lives are helping put on the protest. Today, WTS Paradigm thanking businesses that opened their doors to displaced employees yesterday.
Despite several of the stores being on lockdown, they still made an effort to help. News 3's Adam Duxter joins us with how even the smallest gestures of kindness went a long way.
Well, today I spent time with the employees of the stores closest to where reports of an active shooter put them on lockdown. The people you're about to meet showed me that kindness can be found even in the most terrifying of circumstances.
For Smoothie King manager Carly Carpenter, Wednesday morning started like any other day, with the delivery. But on her way back, she began to notice something wasn't right.
There was at least like 3 black cop cars turned their lights on, jumped off the belt line, cut the whole traffic off and came speeding this way, and I was just like, oh no.
Carpenter made it back to her store. There, she saw dozens of people standing nearby. She knew it was serious.
The first person I called was the owner, and I was just like, there's been a shooting. Like, what do we do? And they're just like, lock the doors.
On lockdown, Carpenter began to feel afraid.
It was a scary feeling to know that we're the only people here right now, and to think that someone might come here.
But that's when Carpenter put the fear aside and did what she could do to help.
And we walked back up there and kind of talked to the firefighters up there. We said, is it appropriate to give some of these people some smoothies that are up here? And they were like, yeah, we think it's appropriate.
Carly and her staff made and gave away dozens of smoothies. She says it's the least she can do.
Small thing that we could have done that made them think about something else for 1 second while it was still going on.
Close by, DSW was also on lockdown with customers stuck inside. Staff there doing whatever they could to make them feel comfortable.
And they said, hey, we're really hungry. You guys have a vending machine or something? And I said, yes, we do. It's in the break room. And I went to the break room, took a picture of our vending machine, and kind of took their order.
Again today, WTS Paradigm thanking these stores for their kindness, saying in a situation like this, you learn how great a community really is.
And that kindness, boy, that really goes a long, long way.
Just the little gestures, the free smoothies, just coming together. Adam, thank you very much.
3-year-old Edie is also showing her appreciation for police. I know this little girl. She made a special card for the Middleton Police Department today. Her mom posted a photo of it to the department's Facebook page, and she also told her mom today that she wants to be a police officer since they help keep people safe.
How cute is that?
She's precious. Coming up, police make an arrest after a shooting on a Madison Metro bus. And
brewing up some help for flood victims, the fundraiser benefiting a popular nature preserve that suffered millions of dollars in damage from the historic flooding. That's next at 6.
A 15-year-old boy was arrested this morning in connection with a shooting Wednesday afternoon on a city bus.
Madison police got the call yesterday afternoon about the shooting on this bus. This was at Flom Road at Monona Drive. A 16-year-old boy was shot in the leg. Another 16-year-old had a graze wound to the arm. Both are expected to be okay.
Democratic candidate for governor and Wisconsin State Superintendent Tony Evers says the policies of Governor Walker are failing us. Evers said that Walker's agenda and divisive solutions from Washington aren't working. His annual speech comes in the heat of the governor's race and provides Evers a platform to tout his proposed education department budget. Evers is touting the plan as a way to fix the state aid system for schools. It would increase funding by 10%. He says the state government is failing our kids.
Over half the school districts in the state have passed referenda since 2011, and the success of those rate is about 70%. State leaders in Madison aren't getting the job done, so the people of Wisconsin are doing it themselves.
Republicans say Tony Evers' plan for the state would cost taxpayers more money. Specifically, they say property taxes will rise and his spending, which includes putting $1.4 billion towards school funding, would affect the state budget. Republicans also say Evers wouldn't rule out adding $1 a gallon to the gas tax.
The Middleton Brewery and Sports Apparel Store are teaming up tonight to help raise money for the Pheasant Branch Conservancy. That popular nature area saw $2.5 million in damage in the recent flooding. Tonight, Capitol Brewery and Fleet Feet are turning their Thursday night pub run into a fundraiser for the Conservancy. $1 of every drink purchase and all proceeds from t-shirt sales will go to those rebuilding efforts.
And in weather, look for a round of thunderstorms later tonight. Some of those could have gusty winds, but will be followed by much cooler weather as we head toward the first day of fall on Saturday. I'll have your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti is here with a look at your first alert forecast.
Lots to talk about. We had heavy rain over parts of our viewing area last night. Then the temperatures jumped up this afternoon. Then we look for the possibility for some severe weather later tonight, and then much cooler weather follows after the thunderstorms. First, last night, about 3 to 7 inches of rain fell. Much of this just through the overnight hours from far eastern portions of Iowa through much of central and northern Grant County, almost centered right on Platteville, and then to between Dodgeville and Darlington, and then into Greene County around New Glarus and just to the north of Monroe. North and south of that, lesser amounts officially in Madison, about 3/4 of an inch of rain fell. So you can clearly tell the heaviest rains fell in the southern part of the state. Now, a warm front moved north. The skies cleared out. Temperatures soared this afternoon. A couple of thunderstorms developed across northern Illinois, but you can see how they fizzled as they pushed into southern Wisconsin. The air aloft is very warm, so it kind of acts as a lid on the atmosphere and keeps thunderstorms from developing. That is not the case to the north and west, though. You can see a couple of lines of thunderstorms, one coming through northern Wisconsin and another strong line to the south. Severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for much of central Iowa and a tornado watch for parts of southern Minnesota through 11 p.m. this evening. Watches will probably be needed farther to the east of that line as it moves eastward. It looks like the line will probably reach Madison around midnight or shortly thereafter, and at that time the line should be weakening a little bit. So our main threat is going to be strong winds and perhaps a little bit of hail, especially from Madison to the north and west, south and east of Madison, maybe an isolated strong to severe thunderstorm. Highest severe weather potential is over parts of southeastern Minnesota and west central Wisconsin. The tornado risk, about 10% of a tornado within 25 miles of a point, and this hatched area indicates the potential for a couple of strong tornadoes of EF2 or stronger strength. That's across Minnesota and western Wisconsin where the tornado threat will be higher. The wind threat starts to push into parts of western Wisconsin as well as down into parts of northern Iowa. That's along that line of thunderstorms that'll be later tonight. And then the hail threat extends about as far as Madison before those storms start fizzling out later on tonight. Live view from the Green Bay Radio Skycam in Platteville. That's looking to the west. You can see sunny skies and not much on the western horizon. Those storms still quite a distance off. The WISC Skycam showing clear skies with just a few clouds overhead, and the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison showing clear skies as well. High temperature today, take a look at this, 85 degrees after starting out at 60. Normally we're at 70 and 48, and right now our temperature is at our high for the day, 85. The dew point temperature is at 71, so it feels almost like 90 degrees thanks to the high humidity. Now, as we take a look at temperatures, they range from the 50s up in northern Wisconsin to the 90s across northern Illinois. That is a huge temperature contrast, and dew point temperatures near that front, right in the middle, are in the lower 70s, so there's plenty of fuel for these thunderstorms to develop. Upper level winds from the southwest to northeast, a little more southerly as they push into southern Wisconsin. But that's at about maybe 10 to 20,000 feet above the ground. Near the ground, you can see how the lower level winds, especially north of the swarm front, are from the east. So you have winds moving in one direction aloft and another direction near the ground. The tornado threat is highest where those two kind of cross like that. Here in southern Wisconsin, the upper level winds and the lower level winds kind of in the same direction. So the wind damage threat would be a little bit higher as that line of storms move in later on tonight. But that big temperature contrast is in place. And to the west, look at the temperatures across the Dakotas. 50s and 40s right now. That cooler weather is heading in our direction. Those dew point temperatures drop off dramatically as well. So the air will dry out as we head into the weekend. And that will lead to overnight low temperatures by Saturday morning, perhaps as low as around 40 degrees. So our forecast for tonight, becoming mostly cloudy, a period of thunderstorms around midnight or shortly thereafter. Some of those could have strong winds and hail. Low temperature at 61. The heavy rain threat, I think, is pretty low. Those storms will be moving pretty quickly. But tomorrow we only go up a couple degrees to a high of 64 with a slight chance for a shower mainly in the morning. So on future track, you can see that line of storms sweeping through pretty quickly. That'll limit the heavy rain potential. And then after that, lots of clouds for tomorrow, keeping temperatures in the mid-60s. We clear out tomorrow night. Look at the temperatures. 40 in Madison, upper 30s in our northwestern viewing area, and Saturday high temperatures only in the middle 60s. Rainfall amounts, because of the fast movement of the storms, generally around 1/4 of an inch. Now, as we take a look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, those temperatures stay chilly through the weekend. A little warm up early next week with some thunderstorm chances Tuesday, and then even cooler weather by the end of next week.
After losing at home to BYU last week, are the Badgers really ready for a primetime game at Iowa Saturday night? We'll hear from Paul Christ in sports.
Hi, I'm Michelle Carolla. Tonight on the news at 9, it was 1 year since Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, and many are still struggling to get back to normal. That story is first on Fox at 9.
Tight end Xander Neville and linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel still both listed as questionable on today's injury report for the Badger football game Saturday at Iowa. Kickoff at Kinnick Stadium will be at 7:30 Saturday night in Iowa City. When last we saw the Badgers, a game-tying field goal attempt was sailing wide left, and BYU came away with a 24-21 upset win at Camp Randall. After the game, the Badger players were assuring everyone they could move on from that disappointing defeat. Today after practice, head coach Paul Chryst thought, yes, in fact, everyone had moved their focus to Iowa this week.
You know, a lot of the messaging and the way that we approach this is not always driven by a win or a loss or, you know, perceived success, right? You've got to approach it and you got to try to grow no matter what happens. And yet now you got to go do it, you know, and you know, that's why I thought this was a good week of preparation. The intentions were right, guys were working to get better. How does that translate? That's where you get to go play the game, and that's kind of where you're, you know, in some ways that's where you're judged, right?
Neither Aaron Rodgers nor Kevin King practiced today for the Packers. Mike McCarthy said King would be hard-pressed to play Sunday at Washington, but Rodgers is surely expected to play with his left knee injury, just like he did last week. Alex Smith, of course, is the Redskins' new quarterback. He and Rodgers are, of course, tied for the hip from the 2005 NFL Draft. That's when Smith or Rodgers was going to go #1 overall. Smith was the first pick of the 49ers. Rodgers slipped to 24th to the Packers. Rodgers says he and Smith have become good friends, but fans sometimes can't tell them apart.
We'll often count how many times we confuse for the other person. It's usually double digits for each of us, which is fun when someone's yelling, Alex, Alex, Alex at you. Proceed. But he's a great guy. You know, we've developed a friendship over the years, and I've always enjoyed watching his career and his success. He's been to a few more teams than me, but he's put up numbers everywhere he's went.
It's week 6 of the high school football season. We'll kick it off tomorrow night with the Prep Mania game of the week. Madison La Follette at Sun Prairie will be live on TVW Channel 14 and live streaming on channel3000.com tomorrow night at 7. Madison La Follette and Sun Prairie. Brewers are off tonight. They'll start a weekend series in Pittsburgh tomorrow night. Today, the Brewers announced tickets for Wild Card and National League Divisional Series games will be available to the general public starting Friday, September 28th at 10 a.m. Central Time. And if there's a tiebreaker game at Miller Park, tickets for that would go on sale to Wisconsin residents only Sunday, September 30th. At the Tour Championship, guess who's a co-leader? Yep, Tiger Woods. An eagle on 18 gives Woods a round of 5 under 65. That ties him for the lead with Ricky Fowler. Woods won the FedEx Cup in 2007 and 2009. He'd have to win this tournament to get some help to win this year's FedEx Cup, but after the first round, he's tied for the lead.
Playing some pretty good golf.
Yeah. I know a lot of high school football players looking forward to playing in 50 and 60-degree temperatures.
It's going to feel much more comfortable.
Like fall.
Yeah, fortunately, they're not playing tonight. In fact, you look at the bottom of your screen, you can see a tornado watch has just come out until midnight for Juneau and Adams counties, as well as much of central Wisconsin. That's in advance of that line of storms moving eastward. So it's moving pretty quickly. So that will limit the heavy rain potential, but will still bring the potential for some severe weather. Temperatures right now range from the lower 70s in the northern part of our viewing area to near 90 near the Illinois state line. Dew point temperatures are in the lower 70s, so heat index values are into the lower 90s down by Janesville. But that cold front will drop temperatures into the 60s for the weekend and for much of next week as well.
All right, Gary, thank you. Thanks for joining us for News 3 at 6.
Have a great evening, and we'll see you back here at 10.
Download the new Channel 3000 app and get alerted on your mobile device the minute news breaks. Wherever you go, be the first to know with Channel 3000.